Welcome to the latest episode of 305 Vox Populi. I'm Mayor Manny Cid, and we're in the studio at St. Thomas University. And today's guest, it's Jetstream's Federal Credit Union, Jetstream Financial's CEO, Jeanne Kucey. How you doing, Jeanne?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much for having me here today.
I appreciate you coming on because I think what you're going to bring to the table is so educational to the folks who watch from home, who are here in the studio. And one of the questions we like to break out right off the bat is your why. Why did you decide to go into banking, into finances, into helping other people, right? Because you could have decided a traditional path in banking. I have a lot of friends of mine that are in regular banks, but you're doing something a little different, and a lot of people don't know. But what's that why? What's that day that you said, this is my path?
Okay, well, that's easy. Thanks. I started out in banking. Most credit union CEOs did start out in banking, so that's not unusual. And after working in a bank for about 8 years, a friend came to me and said she had made the switch over to credit unions. And she said, I know you, and I think that would be the right path for you. And I thought about it, and I said, you're absolutely right. When I was young, my dad was a high school teacher. My mom stayed home with my brother and we belonged to Orange County Teachers Credit Union. And that credit union made a huge difference in our family. We were of modest means. This goes back in the olden days, but we had a used Dodge Dart. We had one car, and my mom wanted a second car so that she could take us places and things. And I remember her telling me, well, we're going to apply at the credit union, and said they're our only hope. They're our only choice. No one else would lend us money for a second car. And I remember her waiting by the phone that was on the wall in the kitchen. That's how it used to work. And waiting for the credit union to call. And they called and told us we got the loan. They bought a used Volkswagen Bug. And they later used that car to bring my adopted sister home for the first time. So, very heartfelt. And I know how much my parents relied on the credit union. So having a chance to make that switch from banks to credit unions definitely felt right for me. And, I'm very glad that I made that switch.
That's awesome. And my family has a similar story. My mom's a state employee. She still is a state employee to this day, and she was using the credit union as a kid. And I never understood the differences between, now I know, right? But back then, I would hear the credit, and I was like, yeah, Mom, what's the difference? And she would tell me, no, they help state employees like me, the one that they had for state employees at the time. So if you can break it down a little bit for folks, because I don't think some people understand the difference between a regular bank, right? Like walking into a Bank of America, right there in Miami Lakes, right across the street, you have, in the same plaza, you have a Bank of America, you have a Chase, and you got Jetstream. What's the difference between Chase and Bank of America, the true traditional banks that you hear about all the time in the news, right? And Jetstream Financial?
Okay, well, I could start by talking about how we're the same. So we want to make sure that we offer both banks and credit unions all the financial products that our customers or members need. Mortgages, credit card loans, auto loans, online banking, mobile app. We're both highly regulated. We both have similar challenges with cybersecurity and staying ahead of fraud. The big difference is ownership. So banks are owned by shareholders. Somebody invests in the bank and they expect a return, and when the bank makes a profit, that return goes to the shareholder. When you join Jetstream or any credit union, open an account for just $5, you actually become a member and an owner. So when we make a profit, we don't send that money off to a third-party stockholder. We reinvest in you. So that could show up in the form of lower loan rates, higher CD rates, lower fees, or it could be specialized products that we develop to meet a certain need in the community, particularly with low-income people. So you're an owner and a member when you join a credit union.
That's interesting. And you're a nonprofit.
We are.
It's a big difference, a big distinction. So talk to us about what's at Jetstream. And you're the CEO. What's a deposit? What's that lingo in banking? Your deposits that come in. What's that number? That financial number that Jetstream is worth in terms of
our assets.
Your assets. Because I know they use it in different branches, right? They use the word deposit, but it's what's the assets? What are the assets looking like for Jetstream?
We're $250 million. So, we're lower mid-size. We're a neighborhood credit union. We're not a huge nationwide or even statewide financial institution.
But wait a second. But you're the CEO of a $250 million organization. That's a really big deal, and especially in terms of how you talked about the scenario of empowering people to be owners and ownership over their own banks. But looking back at where you're at today, the CEO of a $250 million organization that helps people, to that phone call where your parents were trying to get that second car. I mean, how does that feel just looking back and that just going through all that? So if you could just reminisce, looking back today, what's that feel like?
I guess I never said to myself I want to be a credit union CEO. But yeah, I'm very proud of what I've accomplished and very happy with my career, definitely. And really all the people that you're able to help, and not just members, but employees. We have an amazing team at Jetstream. And that's probably what I'm most proud of. Mutual respect is, at the heart of every harmonious workplace. And we have such a great level of mutual respect. And, we're in South Florida. The majority of my employees did emigrate from another country, or their parents did. And everybody's very interested in each other, their journeys, their foods, their traditions. And it really makes coming into work a pleasure every morning.
That's phenomenal. So and to put it a little bit maybe into layman's terms for some of the folks here, because everybody drives, right? You all have a card note. You all pay interest in card notes. But why, and because I found this out not too long ago, but why should folks who get traditional card notes, right? Like you buy a car, you lease a car, why should they change that up and go to a credit union instead in terms of the interest rates? I mean, what are the differences? Because somebody told me not too long ago, was like, hey, no, you need to go from the traditional one, refinance your card note and go take it to Jetstream or one of the credit unions. But why is that important for folks, and what does that mean in dollars and cents?
Yeah, our rates are definitely lower, and we have banks in Royal Oaks that refer their customers to Jetstream for auto loans. It's just not really, it's not the area that all the banks want to be in. So we do have lower rates, and we also have a swap and drop program. So if you're paying 10% on your auto loan at a bank, if you come to us, we'll lower it at least 200 basis points to 8%, and we'll give you $100 back.
But 200 basis points is a big deal. That's
it is.
Real money
on
a monthly basis.
Absolutely, you're correct.
So Lou, what do you guys got for CEO Kucey?
My question is, a person in your position, what do you feel, and this is just your personal opinion I'm asking, what do you feel needs to be done to make students, especially in the K through 12 grades, to be a little more financial literate?
I definitely think there needs to be more financial literacy taught in school. And, if it's taught in school and it's mandatory, then the students will learn it and they can take that with them through the rest of their lives. There was never any education like that when I was in school, for sure. And I still think there's very little of it today. It's hard to get people interested in financial literacy and financial wellness when it's not a type of requirement. We teach it to the interns that we have, and of course they're required to be with us and go through our program. But as far as trying to offer programs after hours, evenings, weekends, we've tried a number of different varieties, and we just don't see a return on that. And I know a lot of people are in that same situation. Matter of fact, I was at a party, and it was some bankers and credit union people, and a lady said that she taught a class of kids getting ready to go to, teenagers basically, and she said she had about 50 people in the class, and I was shocked, and I said, wow, how did you get 50 young people in the class? And she said, well, the parole officer had a gun and was standing at the back door. So I said, okay, there you go. I thought I was missing something, but it's so hard to get people interested in financial literacy. I really do think the answer is having mandatory education, and certainly the students will benefit from it. We even find our own employees don't know enough about personal finance and budgeting. So we, several years ago, certified every single employee in a community development financial counseling program, and they had to pass 12 different modules: budgeting, saving for college, saving for retirement, how to build good credit, just every aspect of financial literacy. And we even trained the part-time scanner that worked in the back because we felt everybody needed the ability to manage their own finances, and everybody has the ability to help a neighbor, a friend, a family member. So that was a big initiative. We were the first credit union that operated in Florida and Puerto Rico, where we have an office, to certify their entire staff in that. But we certainly felt that it was a very worthy effort.
You got I see two hands up, so, yep.
So, seeing how much success you've had thus far in your career, and seeing how much Jetstream has grown over the years, what has been your biggest takeaway thus far?
There's a lot of people out there that really need the support of a credit union to be successful in their financial health. So I really would say that there's a lot of work to be done. I think I would really say that. And along those lines, we have a new product that we just rolled out, and it's called a home help rehab loan. It took me a second. It's a new product, so I'm still learning the name. But we found that, say you're a homeowner, you need some repairs. You maybe have money in the bank and you can pay for it. Maybe you get a home equity credit line where you borrow off the house. And so either one works well. But we found there's a lot of people in Miami-Dade County that we serve that don't have those options. The housing stock is very old, average of 60 years. There are a lot of major repairs needed. The weather, of course, only exacerbates that. But there's a lot of people that they either don't have equity in their home, they have poor credit, or they have a high debt ratio, and they're not able to get the money to get a loan to make those repairs. So they're stuck in a house that needs repairs. And a lot of times it increases their energy bills because they're not energy efficient. So we actually applied for a grant from the U.S. Treasury to be able to offer loans to those people. And we are rolling it out. It's rolled out. You don't need to have equity. The credit score will go as low as 550, which is, unusual. You won't see a bank do that. And if you have a high debt ratio, we'll still make that loan for you.
Wow.
So, there's some neighborhoods where the whole neighborhood seems to be a sea of blue tarps on the roof. Those are the types of neighborhoods that we're looking to help. But you can get up to $30,000 unsecured. Or we could go up to 125% of your equity, and the loan could be for as much as $50,000. So it could help, fix foundations, roofs, impact windows, mold remediation, and you can even use it for solar energy panels if you want to go solar.
That's phenomenal. That is really, really awesome.
Yeah, we're very excited about it.
Hi, so I wanted to ask, how did you get into banking? What was your journey from there to where you are now? I know you said your friend recommended it to you, but you know what I mean?
Well, I started out of college. I wanted to be a stockbroker originally, And then a friend's father talked to me about how rough that was because you spend the first 2 or 3 years cold calling because you don't have any customers and nobody wants to give you their customers. And that didn't sound particularly exciting to me. And I had the opportunity to enter a management training program straight out of college. I was a finance major. And that was a great program. I worked at every different position from teller to new accounts supervisor, assistant manager, and really just worked up the ranks. And I think the biggest things that will help ensure your success are good verbal communication, good written communication, and being open, not just open to criticism, but embracing criticism. And I think those are, if I have to pinpoint, because we do have the interns and they'll ask me from time to time, what are the most important things to focus on? And I think those areas are the most important, definitely.
That's phenomenal. We got another one over here.
Given the fact that your company is so large and so spread out in many different areas, how difficult or easy would you say it is to manage all these different branches and making sure that they're on task serving the goal of serving the community?
That's a great question, and I did mention we serve Miami-Dade County, and then we have the branch in Puerto Rico, and of course, Puerto Rico's a long ways away. It's even a long plane ride. Yeah, it takes just as long to get to Puerto Rico as it does to Washington, D.C. So we do struggle with making that team feel, it's hard to make them to feel as close, I guess, as the rest of us feel because they are so far away. But again, the communication is the key with that. And now we have Teams where we can, they can attend all the meetings via Teams. That's been very helpful. And we do go down there. The managers take turns going down. So there's, somebody down every other month probably. But I have a team of people. So we have people at all levels that do go out to the branches and check in with the managers. And we have quarterly assessments and we set goals for them. And of course, we get feedback from our members, good or bad, how the service is. So there's a lot of checks and balances.
That's awesome. Any other questions? Yes.
Two-part question.
Oh, those are tough. You got a 2-part question?
Okay.
All right.
From your professional realm, how difficult was managing the pandemic, and are we back yet? Would you say from your bifocals, are we back yet? Are we close, or how are we looking financially?
Well, we are very unusual. We never left. We kept our branches open throughout the entire pandemic. 75% of our members fall into the low-income category between Miami-Dade County and Puerto Rico. They're not as plugged in as everybody else, and we just wanted to make sure we were there to help them. So all of our branches stayed open throughout the pandemic. I myself came into the office every day. I never got COVID throughout all this, and I was working in an office with 30 plus other people. We did socially distance and wear masks, and we followed all of the prescribed protocols. But luckily we haven't had to deal with those issues of getting people back to work. And I know, we did have some employees that thought, they'd like to hang out at home in their sweats and that type of thing. But, in the end, when we talked, everyone agrees for your mental health, it was a much better call to come into work. So it really was best for them and certainly was best for our members.
So are we financially, are we back? You think overall, I think that's, was that the main?
Financially? A lot of areas are, but one of the reasons we received the grant is because the low income census tracts, they haven't come back like the rest of the economy. And this grant that we received for the home help rehab loan is specifically supposed to be used in low-income census tracts to give them a chance to get back like the rest of us have. Now, we'll make those loans to everybody, Miami Lakes, Doral, even though they're not in a low-income census tract. But the reason that we were able to start that was because of the financial support from the U.S. Treasury when they gave us that grant.
That's awesome. Any other question? Yeah, we have.
How long has the credit union been around?
Well, I appreciate you asking that because this is our 75th anniversary.
Wow, that is awesome.
Yep, and matter of fact, we're hoping that you celebrate it with us. We have for you a Nike golf shirt with the 75-year logo.
Nice. Look at that.
And a 75-year coffee cup.
Oh, that is nice.
Yep, we started.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. We started in 1948, and we were the credit union for the Miami FAA. And so we served the FAA, for several years. And 30 years ago, we merged the Puerto Rico FAA credit union in. And then we grew in drips and drabs, and now we serve all of Miami-Dade County. Have you ever thought about doing that? Serving all of Miami-Dade County?
No, yeah.
And we serve 3 counties in the San Juan area of Puerto Rico.
Wow. Wow.
And I've been the CEO here for 15 years.
God bless.
Yeah, and it's been, it's gone by so quickly. It just amazes me. But I've had some incredible opportunities. And one thing I did want to talk about was, we do volunteer to lobby on behalf of credit unions. And I was fortunate enough to be on the board of directors for our National Trade Association for 9 years. And that afforded me just some incredible opportunities. It's all volunteer. You talk to politicians about the credit union difference. You ask for their support. We want to maintain our tax exemption. We explain why the tax exemption actually, what we return tenfold by having that exemption. And I was able to attend President Obama's second inauguration. I represented the Trade Association at the Democratic National Convention. And probably my most surprising, and I don't even know how to say, it was just an amazing experience. I actually served as an economic advisor to President Trump. I was called, I actually was going into a board meeting, my phone rang, I almost didn't answer it, picked it up. It was our trade association, the National Association of Federally Insured Credit Unions, and they said, we have a favor to ask. And I said, sure, what is it? Because they asked me for a lot of favors. It's almost like having a part-time job. And they said, well, President Trump would like you to attend a meeting on Tuesday in the West Wing regarding credit union deregulation. And so I didn't say anything. And she said, are you able to make it? And I said, yes. And she said, do you need to check your schedule? And I said, no.
That's amazing.
So that was an incredible experience. I had to go through a background check, and I received an email, and it said that you've passed the background check. We look forward to seeing you, the White House. So that was just, the email was odd. And
That's
then, of
amazing.
course, you go through security. And this wasn't a huge meeting. They had, I believe, 8 credit union CEOs from around the country at the meeting. General Kelly was sitting at the table. I was right next to Gary Cohn. This was in 2018, early in his term. Gary Cohn was his financial advisor. And we came into town the night before, and we worked on all of our talking points, and we were told that we had to memorize them, which just puts a lot of pressure. Of course, we brought them. But, the president came in, and then they also schooled us a little bit in the protocol. When the president comes in, you stand. If you're talking, delivering your talking points, if he interrupts you, you have to stop right away. So it was just amazing. When he walked into the room, everybody stood, and you're staring at the president, and he's, closer than that camera is right now. And he says, oh, please, everybody sit down. He had us go around the table, introduce ourselves, where we were from. And then he asked us different questions about regulation because, one of the things he wanted to do was, deregulate, which helps helps us certainly. And he asks us questions about the CFPB and all different areas of credit union deregulation. And the meeting lasted, about an hour and a half.
Wow.
So it was just an opportunity of a lifetime, and it came completely out of nowhere. But I think no matter what you do, get involved. The dentists have the American Dental Association. Bankers, of course, have their trade associations. But, I wanted to do what I could to further the credit union industry, even beyond Jetstream. So I volunteered and took on these extra responsibilities, with no extra pay. But it really just brought just such a wealth of experience, I guess, to what I was doing at Jetstream. And it really helped Jetstream out too, because every time I met with a senator or a congressman, there was an article, and Jeanne Kucey from Jetstream, was there. So it really helped us out on a local level, even though a lot of the people I met with were from different states and regions of the United States.
So make sure you pick up that phone, right? A lot of folks have the bad habit of never picking up their phone. You never know who could be calling, right? You might be in a meeting with the President of the United States. So that's actually a really cool story. Thank you. Do you have a picture of that meeting?
I do. I have two pictures.
If you could share with the team,
I have them on my phone, sure.
So they can actually put it in the podcast. That'll be
perfect.
Really cool.
Yeah.
Really, really cool.
Yeah, trust me, I showed them to a lot of people.
That's awesome. That is really, really, really cool. So as we wrap up, we turn it around. Any questions you have of me?
Well, I love the podcast. I'm a subscriber, and I really, the whole, I don't know what you call the reason you started it, getting people talking, it's definitely needed today. Yeah.
And I think one of the cool things, because a lot of the original team members are here, newer team members, is telling people stories, right? Sometimes we don't get to hear your story that might inspire that young girl that watches and she says, oh my God, she's been able to do all of this, and she started, right, in very humble beginnings. So I think you telling your story is the reason why we started all of this. So because you never know who you are going to inspire along the way, because now it's going to be on YouTube, on Instagram, on Twitter, on Facebook forever. And just hearing that story, from getting the phone, trying to get some money for that second car, to being the CEO, to being in a room in a meeting with 8 people with the President of the United States. I mean, that is why we do what we do, right? To tell stories like yours that are so amazing. So we appreciate you. And in closing, well, first off, I just want to say I really appreciate CEO Kucey, because without her, we would not be able to do the Miami Lakes State of the Town. She, every single year, and I kind of feel bad because it's almost like we don't even have to ask. It's like they're there. They're 100% in. They sponsor it. And with her sponsorship, Miami Lakes Tech, that has a culinary school, is able to buy food, get their kids together, and those kids leave the school from practicing, just getting ready, all the stuff every day, but actually going to a setting, serving people, and ensuring that they have that ability to showcase their skills, and also the awards that we give out. It's all due to you and to your team. So without you all, we would not be able to have a Miami Lakes State of the Town address. And I think for the last 7-8 years,
yeah, it's our pleasure. Thank you for giving us the opportunity.
So that really, it means a lot. So kudos to you for always being there and giving back. So in closing, some words of inspiration, motivation to that next Jeanne Kucey that might be watching, right? That girl who needs that motivation, inspiration. Because I meet a lot of young folks sometimes, and they're like, oh, I could never be a mayor. I could never be a CEO. And we're like, wait a second, I was in your shoes. I was probably worse off than you. So just words of motivation, inspiration to close out the show.
Just hard work pays off. I did work full-time as a waitress and paid for every penny of my college education. I definitely never saw myself as a CEO, but I think I just always did the best I could at every job I had. And, that's how you work your way up in life. So thank you. It's not very original, but
no, but listen, just those words alone, how many kids out there still go to, are working their way through college, and just hearing that story. But there you have it. the great, inspiring story behind Jetstream Financial CEO Jeanne Kucey. I mean, somebody who's going to continue to do well in our community and make sure that folks are taken care of. But her story alone is going to continue inspiring young people moving forward. So we appreciate you coming on, and we'll see you next Wednesday on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and X, Twitter. Take care.